Yeah, bro.
I don't know how to.
Damn, you got a whole ass like magician show setup and everything.
Well, yeah. The thing is, it looks. I'm realizing now. I've spent the whole week like. So this is the like theater
Yeah.
um space in my living room,
Yeah.
but I'm realizing now that it's very what's it called? It looks terrible on camera. So let me actually.
Well, I
Uh,
think part of that is because your camera is terrible.
that may be true.
Because what I did, so you can't see it, but I don't know if you can tell with like my video, I'm using my like my camera um as my webcam.
Oh, you're
So like
using
the
your.
yeah, some of the image quality is much better. But you can
Gotcha.
find yeah, and especially for you because I know you we've been talking a little bit before the recording and whatnot, and
Yeah.
your obviously as a magician everything you do is performance based, and
Right.
especially zoom wise I think the first thing that you're going to need to do is just get a solid camera. Like that is like number one must have.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah. Let me. I'll turn these lights off so you can actually see me better.
Yeah, bro.
Um. Let me. Hold on one sec. Sorry.
No worries, brother. I can actually see you fine as it is right there. I did lose audio though. I'm not sure what happened.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Okay.
No worries.
Let me turn off that. There we go. And
Yeah, bro.
is this okay?
Yeah.
I want to make
Yeah,
sure
that's
it's
good.
good for. I know you're posting this, so I want to make sure that you can see me
Yeah,
somewhat clear.
don't no worries, brother. No
Cool.
worries. Really the thing that matters is like the content, the conversation that we're gonna have here.
Cool.
So yeah, bro, how you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm doing good. Woke up, had a call with a friend, cup of coffee. I'm good to go.
Hell yeah, dude. That's exciting. That's awesome, man. Yo, so just for frame of reference, you stayed with me this last weekend here,
Right.
and we had never met before this last weekend. We were just talking. You're a magician. I run the digital presence consultancy, and here we are linking up, kind of just like working on trying to help one another out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Hell
pumped.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, I was super excited.
Yeah, I've definitely been looking forward to this conversation. Part of what I love about what I do is that I get to have really interesting conversations, and everything I do is very different. Like every project is completely different, you know? Obviously, I've never worked with a magician before. But I mean, I guess that's an advantage in a sense because I come from like a very different place. Um, but kind of just to start the conversation out the way that I'm kind of picturing this is going to go. So I want to really like better understand you, your business, like where you're coming from, how you're doing things right now, how digital kind of like plays into that. And then I'm going to kind of transition into we've compiled a bunch of different resources, a bunch of tips and whatnot, and things that you can start doing on your own. Um, and then we can talk about if you want to go ahead and bring us on, what we can do moving forward to help take your business and specifically your digital presence to the next level. So, yeah, that's more or less where I'm seeing this conversation going.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Awesome, man. Yo, so let's kind of start out with where you're at right now. Obviously, COVID has changed your performance art-based business drastically. So what does your business look like today? Like how does that all play out?
Right. So currently, I've been doing virtual shows. So I used to be traveling around, uh, doing live shows for different corporate events, colleges, churches, etc. And now with COVID and no gatherings, I've been doing Zoom shows. So some of them have been public shows, being uh, people will pay for a ticket, and the ticket is a Zoom link, and I'll do an hour-long show, and that's open to anyone. Or it'll be a corporation or church or whoever's having an event, and they'll pay me a flat rate to come in and do a Zoom show for their group. So I've been doing kind of a mix of those. Um, when COVID started and Zoom events became kind of like the trendy thing to do, I was doing a lot of those shows, and then now that we're all just kind of used to it, it's kind of plateaued in terms of like how many
Hmm.
shows I'm getting. And then recently, now that Halloween is coming up and Christmas, I'm starting to get bookings again. So I mean, that's a standard year to year, even with the live shows, is around this time it's about to start to pick up again, especially once October hits through the rest of the year. But um, in the meanwhile, I'm realizing that virtual content, especially if I'm doing public events and things like that, is mainly going to be getting visibility and advertising through social media. So Facebook, Instagram, I guess TikTok now, and YouTube, which is something that I really want to get into. I hardly ever use YouTube, but since the Foolish clip started getting a ton of views last week because of for some reason YouTube started recommending it to people.
Yeah,
I'm like,
explain
you
that a
know what?
little bit more.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
the
yeah.
Clueless clip is.
Yeah, so I was on a TV show called Penn and Teller Fool Us last year, and it aired in June of 2019, and I posted it. And up until last week, it had about 13,000 views, which is cool. And then over the last week, it has now right now I think it's up to like 60,000 views, as of this morning.
Damn.
So something happened last week where YouTube decided to. I looked at the analytics and YouTube was like, "Yeah, we're recommending it to people on their homepage," and I'm like, "Wow, okay, I want to get on this. I want to
Yeah.
capitalize on this because I've never really had a lot of visibility on YouTube. I just put the video on there so I would have a link to send people when they wanted to watch it. Not
Yeah.
YouTube has never been a social media that I've like been on, and so now I'm getting subscribers and visibility there. I want to get on there. Right now, I have about 360 subscribers as of when we're talking, but it's slowly going up. But I
Yeah.
need 1,000 to monetize my channel, so
Hmm.
I'd like to do that. And yeah,
Have you been posting YouTube videos since that really started blowing up?
uh, no, because I haven't filmed any content that all the content that I've had filmed has been mainly targeted toward Instagram, so it's super short videos.
Gotcha.
So today actually, I was planning on filming a YouTube video to upload today. That was
Okay.
kind of like a reacting slash commenting on my own video, the original. That way, the people who
Nice.
have just seen it now get to see like a behind the scenes look at what was happening. But
Yeah.
I also wanted to wait until we had this conversation just in case you had any ideas. So I haven't filmed anything yet.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely, we got like, I'm with this conversation, I'm really trying to feel out. So towards the end, I'll start getting to some concrete tips, and some things that we were observing, and also kind of just like planting some seeds. Um, but yeah, no, this one I'm really trying to dig down, understand everything so that we have like a baseline to start from. YouTube specific, I don't think I have too much, um, but we can definitely have like a follow up conversation on this, as to how to specifically work on content production for your YouTube. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, man. So right now, you said that you are most of your traffic or your customers came from events like churches or businesses. Is that your target audience? Do you do kids shows too? Is it mostly like professional workplace stuff? Like how does that? What's your more or less your demographic breakdown?
Yeah, so I don't do kids shows. I'm not it's not the kind of magic I like doing. I really enjoy performing for like, high school age and up at least. Um Mainly college and young adults. People around our age are the people that I really kind of enjoy doing magic for the most. But I would say, most of my shows, around 60% of my shows were for churches. So, young adult groups, youth groups, retreats, or just, the church was having an event, um, for their staff or whoever. That was my main demographic. And then
I do
after
find
that,
that
college.
kind of interesting, like kind of a little bit ironic, you know,
Oh yeah,
as
the
like
whole
the
magic,
whole religious magic witchcraft kind of thing.
for sure.
But
Well, there's a lot of magicians out there who use magic to like share like a Christian or religious message.
interesting.
But the so I'm Roman Catholic, and so I I found that there are no other magicians that I know of that have a message specifically targeted towards like Catholic audiences. And I was a
Interesting.
religious studies major, so I developed a show that was like a Catholic magic show. And as far as I know, there is no one else out there doing that. So
That's pretty niche, yeah.
I got a lot of I got a lot of work because it was kind of like when I started doing it, it was like I was the shiny new toy on the market. All these youth ministers and Catholic churches were like, wait, we've never heard of a magician before who could like come and do something fun for our kids. And of course I do shows for other churches too. And I adapt my message slightly to make sure that it's in line with what I believe, but also their organization. But I have one show that's specifically tailored towards Catholic audiences, and that's gotten me a ton of work because I'm the only one doing it in the
That's
world.
that's awesome. That's honestly really smart. I had you asked me, I would never have guessed that that market existed, but you went out there and tested it and it worked.
Yeah,
So
no, it's
that's
just
awesome.
yeah. I grew up in the church, and I was like, you know what, this would be a place to do, and I'm like, no one else is doing it, so here we are.
Yeah.
I
Hell
mean, I
yeah.
have one of my websites is my main website is berninimagic.com, but I also have catholicmagician.com because
CatholicMagician.com.
the
Interesting.
domain name has not been taken because, like I said, I think I'm the only one.
So is that a do you actually have like a website on that page or do you just own the domain?
I have a website on that page. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Is it and
With
it's
two
separate
websites.
than your Bernini Magic one?
Yes, because that one
Interesting.
specifically talks about like the religious messages that I incorporate and like
Smart.
how it's specifically targeted towards because when I'm doing the corporate shows and the college shows, I'm not bringing in religious ties at all. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that people know what they're getting and they're going to the website that describes the kind of show that I'd be doing for them. So for the Catholic Magician one, I tell people like, Bernini Magic, you find that one great, but if you want a show for your church, if you go to catholicmagician.com, I go into detail as into like what I talk about and like what my beliefs are and like what different topics I can cover and things like that.
Interesting. Okay. No, that's honestly really smart. I hadn't even yeah. And I'm guessing the CatholicMagician.com domain name is probably not too expensive. I'm guessing there's not too much competition out there. That's
No.
awesome. Okay, yeah. So you have that's my understanding of your current target audience, your current customer base is like businesses, Catholic churches, kind of like our college age and up ideally. Do you have like um, a demographic that you are looking at that you really want to expand into in particular?
Uh,
Um,
I'd like to grow more in the corporate market. So
More in the
like,
corporate? Okay.
yeah, I've done a couple of corporate events, but I want to grow a lot more into that, potentially.
Awesome. Okay. So, kind of walk me through how I know your business has changed a lot because of COVID, but kind of walk me through how you get your normal client. Like, how does that normally pan out?
So far it's been a ton of word of mouth and social media. So a friend of mine on Facebook or someone who follows me on Instagram will message me and say, "Hey, we have this event coming up," um, and then I'll do an event, and then I'll get an email a week later. "Hey, we were at this event. We saw you. We'd like to have you at this event." Um, and then a lot of it is me going out there and uh, asking people, like, hey, are you having an event? Um, not really cold calling, but people that I have some kind of connection with,
Hmm.
and asking them if they're interested in having a magic show. Um, a lot of it is also like fundraisers. So like, especially for the college crowds, like sometimes a college will bring me in to do shows, and that happens pretty often. But also sometimes if the university itself doesn't hire me, I'll go to like a fraternity or a sorority or a spirit group or some nonprofit organization on campus, any kind of student org, and I'll say, hey, do you need a fundraiser? Because magic show is the easiest fundraiser ever. You don't have to do anything, just get people in the door. Just get a room, book a room, and advertise it. And I will show up. I will bring all the equipment. I will do the show, and then we just split the tickets. So they don't lose
That's
money; they actually make money, and they don't really have to do any work other than reserving the room and making the Facebook page event.
that's awesome. Are you collecting reviews?
I'm not, honestly.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have I have a few that I've collected, but not
Are
it's not
they
something I actively do all the time.
okay? Are they written, video?
Uh, Usually written. I have a
Okay.
couple of video ones, but usually
Okay.
written. And it's mainly when I have someone that, if I'm doing a show for someone who has a lot of credibility specifically, I'll ask them
Yeah.
for a review.
Okay.
That's definitely
Yeah.
something I can probably do better at collecting.
I mean, yeah, that's why we're having this conversation.
Right.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so most of the time, my understanding is that you have either word of mouth kind of recommendation from people who have seen your stuff and like you and recommend you to a friend, or they'll see your stuff on social media. And then sometimes you'll have a bit of a warm lead, someone who's familiar with your stuff, and then you'll ask them specifically if they would like for you to put on an event, and then you collaborate on making that happen. Is that more or less?
Yeah, pretty much
Okay,
exactly. And then
awesome,
there's
awesome.
also just the public shows where I just like blast all over social media, like, "Hey, I'm doing a show this weekend. Come see it."
What does that look like?
For virtual shows, it's just a bunch of advertising, just saying, "Hey, virtual show, this Friday at 7. You can get tickets here. You'll get a Zoom
Okay,
link. Come in. It'll be a ton of fun." And I just like post about it constantly for like 2 weeks. I
okay,
usually start advertising 2 weeks out always. And then for live shows, it's more localized. So wherever I'm doing the live show, I'll say, "Hey, Dallas friends, I'm in Dallas doing a show or whatever." And then in that
gotcha.
case, I will specifically message my friends in Dallas and say, "Hey, I'm doing a show in Dallas. If you're in town, I'd love for you to see it, and love for you to bring some friends."
Gotcha. Okay. And so with those, do you see like pretty solid turnout on the Zoom and in person when you blast across your socials?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
well, for the Zoom ones, I usually get about 40 to 60 people per show. Um, in that range. It's a lot of work. So I'm blasting it on the socials, um, and I'm also um, so I have a list. I this is businessy, but
Hmm.
I keep a list of all my friends that live in like specific cities. So like I
Hmm.
have like list of all my Facebook friends organized by city. So if
Yeah.
I'm doing a show in a particular place, I'll look up like who do I know in that city and just individually message them, personally, each one saying, "Hey, I'm doing
Interesting.
a show, can you?" So there's a lot of work that goes into advertising these shows because I am blasting it, but I'm also always personally reaching out to, usually 100, 200 people just
Damn.
individually, Facebook message, Instagram message.
Do
Um,
you have an email list?
I don't know.
Okay, because that'd be a really easy way for you to. There are email service providers where you can collect your email list and then you can segment out audiences, right? So you can add a tag, be like, hey, Dallas, Houston, Austin, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can even segment it like Dallas business, Houston Catholic, kind of that kind of thing. And then you can also there's certain fields in which you can, if you have their name already in their contact info, you can be like, hey, first name, blank message. That way, I mean, and that'd be worth looking into and kind of like starting to build up. And that's something that we can have a conversation about in the future. But because it sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things, but you're doing them all like the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So anything that's definitely something that we need to look into is building up your email list.
Cool.
Okay, awesome. And quite frankly, the 40 to 60 people, and those people are all buying tickets to your performances on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really, really solid. Um, okay, so Zoom, I don't know if I necessarily consider that a platform, but I guess it's a platform. I know you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're on YouTube, Facebook. Are you on any other platforms otherwise? I mean, obviously website, but
Not really. I mean, I have a Twitter, but I hardly use it.
okay. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
use my Twitter. I don't even think I have a Twitter, if we're being entirely honest. Okay. So I kind of want to get into like a little bit of the nitty-gritty. So the way that I was kind of looking at what you're doing right now is you have something that people like, and you clearly already have an audience base, and people are showing up to your shows when you promote it, but we need to try and go ahead and get that word out to more people so that more people show up. Basically working on scaling, and the way that I see that personally from my perspective is building up your following, at least and building up an engaged following for the time being. So, and the core of building a following is making sure that you have content to put out there. So what does it normally look like for you, like on when you go out and you acquire content, you make content? How does it look like? What is your normal process, I guess?
Um, we're talking like Instagram content.
uh all of the above.
Okay. So,
Well, let's start with Instagram. Yeah.
yeah. So essentially, I will either set up if it's like a very visual trick, I'll set up a camera and just do the trick for the camera with a cool background and some music, and just kind of post that. Or I'll reach out to friends and say, hey, can I come do a trick for you? Kind of like we did this weekend, where I was like, hey, can I show you some
Yeah.
magic? And then we filmed it.
Yeah.
And now I have these clips, and I'll kind of edit them and to for time and add some music to it
Yeah. Okay.
and
Gotcha.
post
Gotcha.
that, and usually those do pretty well.
Okay. So, and when you say camera, are you talking your phone? Do you have like another dedicated camera
No, normally I just
already?
my iPhone camera.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So there is Instagram. Do you use the same content on Facebook, or do you have Facebook specific content?
I mainly use the same content.
Okay.
So, I will post it on my so I have my Facebook like fan page,
Mhm.
uh, but I hardly use that because most of the people that follow me on the fan page are Facebook friends of mine, and I have way more people on my Facebook, like more interaction there. Everyone is on my
Interesting.
Facebook friends page for some reason, so I just prefer to post on my Facebook friends page, like my personal
Okay.
Facebook page, as opposed to my fan page because it's the same people,
Yeah.
and there's more interaction there. And so,
Okay.
usually I will post the same thing. Sometimes I will edit for, um, if I think something will work better on one of the platforms, I'll just add in something like, "Hey, follow me on Instagram," and the other one will say, "Hey, follow me on Facebook," or whatever. But I mean, it's hardly any difference really.
Okay. Got you. And so that's Instagram. TikTok, you use basically, you kind of repurpose TikTok content into Instagram, right?
Kind of the other way. I take my Instagram
Oh,
content and I try
interesting.
to put it into TikTok because I've been on Instagram for
That
much
makes
longer than
sense then,
TikTok.
actually. Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
been
Okay. That makes
taking
sense.
old content, and then I've been trying to make some content for TikTok that just wouldn't work on Facebook and Instagram, but that seems to be working. So like those like TikTok trends, specific sounds, or even just like kind of sometimes I'll just do one like talking to the camera, telling a funny story or something that I would just never post on Instagram because I want my
Mhm.
Instagram to look pretty professional and very like
Yeah.
kind of like uh very like thought out and stuff. Whereas TikTok seems to be kind of like more laid back and casual.
Yeah. My perception of Instagram is that there's kind of two facets to it. There's the feed and there's kind of everything else. It's like the feed is like pristine, well edited, looking good, and then everything else about Instagram is built into making it look a lot more um, genuine, non-contrived, very, very casual. You know what I'm saying? Like stories are intentionally low budget, super spur of the moment, DMs, direct conversation with people, but the feed is like, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
that's my perception of it.
No, I agree.
Um, okay,
Okay.
so one more question, kind of like, and then I'll kind of start delving into where I think that we'd best be able to help you, some of the things that we can start working on for you. Um, so right now, what's the biggest priority in your business right now in terms of like one, like the day-to-day operation of it, like what the single biggest thing in actually making your business run, and then also kind of the single biggest thing in where you're looking to make your business go. Does that make sense?
Yes. Um, I I think the they both it's kind of the same answer for both in that
Okay.
it's just constant growth in terms of booking more shows and uh growing on social media so that I
Okay.
can book more shows.
So you
So
can
it
book
all
more
comes
shows.
down
Okay.
to just constantly booking more and more shows.
Okay.
Because the thing is, I was kind of on an upward trajectory before COVID. When COVID
Mhm.
hit, it's kind of like all shows got canceled, and then I started doing the Zoom shows, and it's kind of like okay,
It's kind of plateaued
but
a little bit.
I need to get back on. Back before COVID, I was doing 2 shows a week. I was traveling like 4 days out of the week. Um, and so now, Zoom shows happen maybe like once a month. So I want to get back on that and then also not lose the momentum. So have enough Instagram content to where I'm kind of top of mind. So as soon as, the COVID thing ends, um, I can get back all the momentum of all these people having events. Be like, oh yeah, this guy we've been watching the entirety of COVID. Like, um, let's bring him in for our event because I'm assuming, events will
Yeah.
start popping back up really fast as soon as we're able to have them.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's awesome. Okay. Um, and also, a fun fact: there are a couple recession and economic depression proof industries, and uh, comedy. And I don't know how well this applies to magic, but I'm assuming it applies pretty well. Comedy is actually one of those like
So,
recession depression proof industries that actually does really really well during like. And I'm assuming that because magic is, you can kind of integrate comedy into it a little bit, and it's like tangentially related.
yeah.
I'm assuming it also does pretty well in during rough times. But okay.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Um, yeah, fun facts. Okay, so I shared a Google Drive folder with you
know. Okay.
uh, a couple minutes before we hopped on the call. And if you want, what we can do is we can go ahead and hop on that. I'll run you through more or less what we have on here. So
Okay.
basically, my plan is I want to give you, whether or not you decide to work with us, I want to give you some stuff that you can, like a plan, basically, so that you can start implementing stuff on your own. And if you do decide to work with us, whether it's now or in the future, um, that way you can be like, okay, this shit actually works. You know what I'm saying? They actually know what they're talking about. I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've been able to do some stuff with it, and we can go ahead and move from there.
No, yeah, I really
Um,
appreciate that. Here, I'm pulling up the folder right now. There it is.
awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, so the first thing we kind of wanted to like understand, I wanted to understand your business a little bit better, kind of where you're coming from, what the biggest things are for you, what's most important, who your target audience is, and also how you produce content. Because at the end of the day, especially with a performance-based business like yours, content is the backbone of your entire business.
Okay.
Um, what you show people, what they see, the number of people that you can reach, that basically determines how successful you are. And that is unique. It is more so the case in your business than with pretty much any of the other businesses that we've worked with up to this point. So making sure that you have a solid content strategy and that you're able to consistently pump out good high performing content is going to be critical for you. um, so we wanted to really understand what that looks like. And so if you want to go ahead and scroll down
Okay.
just a little bit to where it gets to past the Instagram audit part, but to the TikTok area, we started looking to other magicians, and we were looking at, okay, what's doing well? What are people doing out there? Because you're not the only magician out there. You have a unique niche, but you're not the only magician out there. So what have they done? They're facing some of the similar problems. What have they done that has really started to change things for their business and really started to kick off? And the guy that I was mostly impressed by, like more impressed by than any of the other ones, was this Magic Singh guy, Singh. Um, and his TikTok is popping. His Facebook is, I'm sorry, not his Facebook. His website is really, really solid. And if we're looking to inspiration, I think his is really solid.
Okay.
But one of the things that we noticed just trends across all of them is that what they do for their TikTok content and then kind of repurpose it over into Instagram and then less so into Facebook, is that they do, their stuff is really short and quick but engaging. You know, you had mentioned to me in one of our previous conversations that one of the things that you struggle with the most is that you don't want to reveal all of your show content for free publicly, right?
Right.
But one of the things that we started to notice is these guys do a lot of very flashy card trick things that are very, it's quick and you're like, holy shit, what happened? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's engaging, and that's the thing. And so one of the ways that, and I'm gonna be super upfront here. We need to make your TikTok presence like blow up. And the nice thing with that is that TikTok is currently blowing up, so that's a very easy trend to hop on. Like, I think since I saw you, my TikTok has blown up in like 5,000 followers, something like that. Like in this last week, like it's yeah, it's just out of nowhere. And that's what I'm saying. It's totally possible if we nail it right.
Okay.
And the nice thing also is that TikTok is allowing a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different monetization strategies, and there are a bunch of things that TikTok is doing to try and really get a foothold in the market that you can take advantage of. Like, for example, this morning I applied Hook for $2,300 TikTok ads credit. They're giving out ads credits right now, $2,300 for free in advertising, which I would
For that,
recommend. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
And the other thing is TikTok is doing a similar thing to YouTube in that they're making a creator fund where, based on views, watch time, number of replays, et cetera, whatever metric it is that they're using, they're actually paying their creators to make videos for TikTok. So it is a monetizable platform. Not only that, but when you go live on TikTok, people have the option to donate money to you within app. So there are multiple different ways to actually monetize your TikTok, not to mention the virality factor of TikTok. And Magic actually does have a pretty solid community on TikTok, and you can use that TikTok content across other platforms like Instagram Reels right now. I don't know if you've noticed, I have also seen pretty big growth on my Instagram because of Instagram Reels recently is blowing up. That vacuum that was left by Vine is finally being filled, and it's being filled quickly. So if that's something that we can go ahead and like help you take advantage of, that's going to be awesome. Okay. But yeah, the really big thing there is that they didn't do anything super cognitively complicated. Like there wasn't a whole lot of explaining in the magic tricks that they were doing. It was quick, visually stimulating, and then people were watching it over and over and over again. They were like, "Wait, what the fuck? Like, how do they do that kind of thing?" And that was something that it really boosts the algorithm because the number of replays. That's part of the reason dance videos do really well, is because people are like, "Okay, I want to learn that dance," and then they play it like 100 fucking times to try and learn the dance, and then that just like explodes the I guess the, not exactly the quality, but how well the dance video does.
gotcha.
um yeah, so that's definitely one way that we can really focus on like growing growing your brand on social, is starting with one one platform especially, and yours has been Instagram. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have to be Instagram, but the nice thing is that we can take TikTok content and very easily plug it into Instagram Reels to see growth in both. And then we can really start growing it.
Okay.
So I think the biggest thing is finding a way to make a lot of content very engaging very quickly, so that you can focus on so that we can focus on growing other parts of your business and brand. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, so I kind of wanted to we were brainstorming a bunch of different ways of monetization that, and some of these I don't even know if they're necessarily applied to magicians specifically, but they were things that we had seen that we were like, oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe we can use that. Kind of just like kind of putting feelers out there to see how you feel about it, your initial reactions, and maybe even just like think about it moving forward. Um, One of the things that we were thinking about, or that I was thinking about specifically, because I didn't have a full grasp on um, your target audience, but I was thinking, okay, who really enjoys magic? I was like, well, a lot of people really enjoy magic, but especially kids. But I
Mhm.
was like, who? But I was like, who deals with kids who suddenly have had a lot of problems recently in making sure those kids stay engaged? And I was like, teachers are. I was like, what if like that would be a very easy um, targeting option where if you come up with either some kind of product, a lead magnet to collect emails where you're targeting teachers specifically, or even we can talk about like a Patreon later where you have some kind of system set up where it's like, hey, here are 3 quick tricks that you can use to make sure that your students stay engaged, or something like that where your target audience is still um, high school, college, and up, but it's helping them in a practical way, kind of like spread the magic word, if that makes any sense. Um, but that's kind of just like a little brain vomit there. Patreon was another thing I was kind of thinking about, because that's something where the whole platform is monetized. It's like a sexless OnlyFans, um, and I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, maybe we could have like a teacher tier or like a student. I was kind of playing around with those, but it sounds like the biggest thing for you that you really want to do is more shows. Yes?
Essentially, yeah. But I mean, I'm open to these things too. I mean, any diversification and if different streams of income are probably probably a smart idea, especially now with all the
Yeah.
uncertainty about when live shows are coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, in that case, I'll start kind of brainstorming different ideas for like either informational products or lead. Do you know what? I'm sorry. Do you know what a lead magnet is?
Um, I
So a lead
not
magnet is
yeah. Go ahead.
basically something that you give out for free in exchange for something else, right?
Got it.
Something else of
Okay.
non-monetary value. Typically it's like contact. So you'll give out like a 5 steps on how to trick your students into believing there's a ghost in the room or whatever, right? Like a PDF that you can download on your webpage, and in exchange they'll give you their email, right? And then what you know is, hey, this person is a teacher and I have their email, so that
Mm,
you can kind of, that's something that you can start building up your email list and segment them out so that you can, if you're putting on a show specifically for teachers or specifically for like high schools or whatever, then
yeah.
you can specifically hit those lists and be like, hey, I'm putting on a show. If you're interested in, or maybe you can like get in touch with them specifically and talk to the administration where you can do like a bulk discount rate for students, something like that, kind of working on building up those lists and building up those different audiences. um, I get kind of distracted, sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's brilliant though. I
Thanks,
think
man.
that having I hadn't even thought about that, but it might be cool, to have something I can show uh or different people, like you said, like 5 things you can do with magic to engage your coworkers or your students or whatever, and then collecting their email. That's brilliant. And then I have the segments of emails from teachers, emails from corporate, emails from churches, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Or that would even be like a potential digital product um, target. You know what I'm saying? Is like you could even put together like a list of 5 videos and sell it for like $10, $20, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then that would be that could be a potential source of income, or that could even be like a recurring payment thing, like on Patreon, where
Mm.
that kind of thing, looking at diversifying your income. But I think for now, I got a little distracted. Let's focus back on the content production. So if the first thing that we need to do, and the first thing that we noticed about um, your content, is that we need to um, up like the image and video quality, because you clearly have the skill, but the problem with digital media is there's a filter. You know what I'm saying? Oops, sorry.
Right.
And the filter really can make or break the transmission of the message.
Yeah.
And so you have an iPhone 10, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean that it takes pretty good pictures. We got to figure out how to make sure that the framing of the pictures, everything is, either the videos or the images are a little bit better. They're more optimized for each platform. And that's something that we can work on here in the future. If we're working on really like upping your Zoom game, you have a little like performance studio area in your living room, which is awesome. I saw the lights earlier. It looks dope. Um, but none of that matters if they can't see it very well, if your camera isn't good. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
maybe getting like a $40 webcam,
Mhm.
um, that just like plugs right into your computer. That's a pretty quick and easy fix. You just like start to work on upping the level of like the way that your content looks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, but with regards to actually, one of the things that I was asking about the way that you make your content is because Taylor and I have started doing something recently. We started calling, or we got the idea from Founder. It's called Social Media Mondays.
Mhm.
And basically what we do is, because we have Hook on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, me on Instagram, TikTok, Taylor on Instagram and TikTok. So that's like 7 different platforms, and we post all of them daily except for one, which we do every other day. So it's a lot of content that we got to do in a week. So what we started doing is we're like, okay, we're just going to batch it all together. We're going to have one day a week where we sit down, we just make all of our content for the rest of the week, so that the rest of the week we can focus on business, personal, whatever it is that we need to do. And that has been phenomenal. So basically we collect, we'll film, take pictures, et cetera, throughout the week. And then that one day we edit, schedule, write captions, everything, so that it's easily disseminated across all of our platforms, so that during the week we can just hit publish, or it automatically publishes, and then we just respond to comments and stuff.
Gotcha.
Um, and
Yeah.
so I think that yeah, like developing a process for you that streamlines it, because I've been there, and I think that you were kind of in that space where you make content, and then you kind of just get burned out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's an easier way of not getting burnt out, so that it's all batched together, and then you can focus on other parts of your business. So it's not taking up a huge chunk of your day every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, man. So the we talked a little bit about niches. Taylor was thinking, kind of in the sense where I was thinking about targeting teachers. Taylor was thinking target people who like wanna do like party tricks, or like click to learn one trick that you can use to captivate your Zoom coworkers. Bored and quarantined. Here's how to learn how to do magic. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but um, the one of the things that she was really looking into was actually finding and putting on an event for you.
Okay.
And so if you scroll down to I forget which page it is. Which page is that? 3. um, she started putting together a number of different venues in Dallas and some in Austin,
Hmm.
and put together a couple different groups that you can reach out to, including their emails, um,
Oh, awesome.
to kind of start to reach out and put those feelers if you're looking at like getting back into the physical space. I know it's completely different now since social distancing, et cetera, et cetera. Um,
Right.
but this is something that we can do to start getting you back out there, because even if you don't get like a huge turnout, even if it's like a break even night, like monetarily, you still get that. As long as it's filmed, you still get that video content that you can use to disseminate across all of your platforms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Hmm.
um
Sure.
yeah. And then I mean, hopefully what we can do is we can like if someone's there with you. If you're just there, you can talk to people after the show, be like, hey, would you mind actually just really quickly like hopping in a video with me? Tell me what you thought of the show. There's your video review right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Just very quick, yeah, while you're out there. One of the last things that we were getting down to is podcasts, because you are very good at talking, you're very personable. And a really like a pretty easy way of um, getting the word out there about what you're doing is reaching out to smaller podcasts or very niche podcasts who are constantly looking for people to have on, constantly looking for content, um, and just getting on and talking about it, and then maybe you can get ideas from them too. They can get ideas from you. You can get some loyal fans from there, but kind of just looking at spreading your feelers out, making those connections, planting those seeds, and watching them grow. So, um, but yeah, man, I kind of just like vomited on you right there. Um, it's a lot to work on. And there's definitely not all of this is going to work, nor are we even going to try all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we just wanted to put as much thought and ideas out there so that you have a chance to look over it, kind of look at what the stuff that we put together, see what resonates with you. If there's any new ideas in there that you're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, or maybe it kind of just like plants a seed that can turn into something later. Um, that's the whole point of that. So, yeah, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, no, this is fantastic. All of this, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, so much. And there's even stuff you didn't even cover that I'm like reading through on the reaching out to film students and stuff like that. Like this is
Oh
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, this is great stuff. Yeah, definitely your idea about Instagram and TikTok, like the way to film content and all that. I want to implement all that. Podcasts. It's funny because you listed here a couple of magic podcasts, um, and I'm actually familiar with most of these because I listen to
Hell
them.
yeah.
But the thing about those is that uh, my understanding is that the only people who listen to magician podcasts are other magicians. And I'm wondering if there's a way to get into some podcasts that where I would be like the only magician guest, so that people who listen to that podcast go, oh, they
Oh, for
find out about a
sure.
magician, if that makes sense.
For
Um,
sure.
so that's just something that I'm thinking about too.
Yeah, just
I
off the
love the podcast idea.
dome, the probably the best way to do that would be tied into specific things. Like you're the Catholic magician, so maybe reaching out to Catholic podcasts, or um, you can focus on local groups, like in Dallas. Like if there's a Dallas locals events podcast, or even just like a little local news podcast that occasionally accepts guests. Just
Yeah,
off the dome, that would be probably where I would start. Um,
awesome.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So I know we had talked a little bit about it. I wanted to, and you and I had a conversation yesterday about actually wanting to work with us and moving forward with this. And so we can have that conversation probably off recording now that I think about it,
Okay.
as to like how specifically that's going to work out. Um, but yeah, brother, I know this is a lot of stuff. I kind of vomited a lot of stuff at you. But if I'm gonna leave you with like one or two things specifically to do today, it would be applying for those TikTok ads credits and then applying to get in the TikTok Creator Fund. Because that's one of them is free money and the other one is a way to monetize a growing account.
Okay.
And I don't know how long I know the ads credits are pretty close to being up, and the creator fund, I don't know how long it's going to stay open. So definitely getting you in both of those, basically just collecting free checks. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's stuff that we can use to build your business moving forward.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I guess, and then the other thing is kind of just like look over, see how you feel about this, and then we can come back in like a couple days and then have a conversation about how we're going to uh, what you resonate with the most, and how we're going to actually move forward with what that's going to look like. Okay?
Yeah. Awesome.
Hell yeah, bro.
Perfect. Dude, thank you. This is fantastic. Like I'm still like you like I feel like drinking from a water hose. Like this is great.
Yeah, yeah. And so
So much great
that's part of
information.
why I filmed these. Huh?
Yeah, so much great. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back and like watch the recording because like you
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
so much
yeah.
information that I'm like, wow, cool.
Yeah, so that I mean, and yesterday I had a talk with a wonderful lady named Candace, and like just after we spoke, like Candace and I spoke, and then I called you back, and so that's kind of how that went down. But I forgot to record it. I did the same shit as today, where I like kind of just because she's working on making a documentary,
Yeah.
and I kind of just like brain blasted, and
Mm,
then forgot to record any of it, and I was like, damn it. But on the bright side, she has another like 4+ pages of stuff too to look over. So hopefully she won't be hurting for info.
yeah,
Um,
no.
but yeah, brother, that's pretty much it on my end. Um, you're doing a lot of things right. You really are. It's just a matter of tweaking them so that they work better.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
that's something that we can definitely work on together. Like there's no doubt in my mind that we can definitely like kick your game up to the next level. Because there are a couple specific things when I look at it, but you already have something that's working. You already have a clientele base, and you clearly have the skill of the magic or whatever, the magic blood or the third eye or whatever. Um, so that's definitely something that we can do. I'm looking
Sweet.
forward to it, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Seriously. Thanks
Hell yeah,
for
bro.
taking the time and for helping me with all this. Cause yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Of course, brother. Of course. Peace, homie. I'll see you on the flip, yeah?